I'm Rebecca Virginia, and today I'm showing you 5 brand new fall DIYs using Dollar Tree items. Let's get started. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I took one of the wood houses that they have up pretty much all year round and gave it a fall makeover. Here are the supplies you'll need. The Dollar Tree came out with these wood houses a couple years ago, and I still find them in my Dollar Tree. I just removed all of the accessories that it came with, and then I used an orange and a red paint to give it the fall color makeover. I also took a bunch of fall leaves and put them on in different directions, and then I'm going in with some black leaves as kind of a contrast embellishment. You could use stickers, you could draw on the leaves yourself, or use some of the fall-themed rub-on transfers that the Dollar Tree currently has. Then I took a thin piece of some burlap ribbon and hot glued that around the front before grabbing some jute, and I think I used maybe 3 or 4 times around on top of that burlap. I used one of the wood, I guess you would call it a stump, a little wood shaving from the Dollar Tree, and I painted that white. It was the perfect circular material that I knew that I wanted on the front of this house. And I am going to add a little embellishment to it, but before I do, I wanted to get the sizing correct so I could grab 2 small wood beads and hot glue those on both sides of the piece of wood that we have painted white. Then I got my piece of wood and I had cut out using my vinyl machine, "Hello Fall," but you could just use a pen to write this out, or again, use a sticker or a rub-on transfer. And once I got my fall saying down onto my wood piece, I just added a little bit of hot glue on the back and popped that in. But I think it'd also be really cute. You can make it a reversible sign. After the "Hello Fall," you could write "Give Thanks," so then you can use it for early fall and Thanksgiving. For this fall DIY, I am transforming one of the glittery pumpkins from the Dollar Tree and giving it a little bit more of a modern twist. Here are all of the supplies that you'll need to recreate this fun project. I grabbed one of these signs from the Dollar Tree. They had a ton of them, and at first I thought I was going to be ripping off the burlap image, but then I realized there was so much spray glitter on it that I decided to just cover it in a bit of brown craft paper and start with a blank slate. So I did flip this over and remove the tag. We'll be working with this section. I've noticed with a lot of the MDF, wood boards from the Dollar Tree is they absorb a lot of paint. So I'm going in with this primer. It was a free sample from Home Depot, and the MDF board really just absorbs this. So before I go in with my nice colored paint, I went in with white, and then I did go in with the color Pumpkin by Waverly. Next, I grabbed a roll of the faux leather that is in the Crafter Square section from the Dollar Tree, and I cut out a tag. Then I used my cutting machine to cut out the word pumpkin, but you could always use a marker. I think if you got a fine point black Sharpie, that would work really well. Then I'm going to be using 2 of these push pins for our sign. I left them gold. I thought I maybe was going to go silver, but I thought the brown and gold looked really pretty and kind of mimicked the colors of leaves in the fall. Be careful when you're pushing this pen through though, because I almost got my finger when I was pushing it through, so be careful. And then with a black Sharpie, kind of like what I said earlier, I am going all around our faux leather, just making some dashes. I don't know, I just liked the accent that it kind of gave. And once you have completed making the accent marks all the way around the faux leather sign, again, be careful because my thumbtacks did go through the back of this sign. So very carefully push the thumbtacks and the faux leather pumpkin sign through. Again, making sure you are not poking yourself. You could always take a little bit of eraser and place it on those little sharp edges in the back if you have little kids around and you're scared of them accidentally hitting their fingers. But I love the way this sign came out. I feel like you would never know it was the glitter sign from the Dollar Tree. Next up, I think has got to be my favorite. I love a good quote, especially when it's from a book, specifically Anne of Green Gables. Here are all the supplies you'll need if you want to make this on your own. Have you ever purchased a canvas and wondered what on earth you're supposed to do with these little wood pieces in the back? Well, rather than throw them away, you're actually going to use them to tighten the canvas. Think of it like you are tightening a drum. You will be placing the wood pieces in the four corners of the canvas. You'll see that there are little slots for them, and that just makes the canvas a bit tighter and easier to work with, specifically when you're painting. So I started off by putting a little bit of water on the canvas. I went to one of those sip-and paint classes and they said to do this. I can't remember what it does, but that's what I did. So I primed the canvas with water and then painted it with the red color called Crimson by Waverly. Next, I created a stencil with my quote and some leaves. I will have it linked down below. I'll upload it into Canva for all of you to access. You can either print it out and just put it in a frame. You can print it out and turn it into a stencil, or I don't know, you could just check it out, but I will have that link down below. I decided to make mine into a stencil because I wanted to use paint instead of a vinyl. So I am just adhering my stencil down. And before I went in with the paint, I took a thin layer of matte Mod Podge, and this is supposed to help it be less likely for the paint to seep through. I think I've said this in a couple of videos. This is the stencil vinyl from Oracle, and I personally don't love it. I don't think I'll repurchase it. I have a huge roll of it though, so I'm trying to use it all up. I'm almost done. So when I do peel it back, there are some areas that it bleeds. I just find that this stencil really has a lot of bubbles in it. With my Cricut stencil, I haven't noticed that. And even with some other stencil that I've tried out from other companies, I haven't noticed that. So I wouldn't exactly recommend this, but you know, it gets the job done. So I'm going through with my little dabber brush and dabbing in the stencil, and then once it has dried, I am carefully removing that stencil. I think the hardest part of this was actually removing some of the stencil because I had my really sharp weeding tool, but I had to be careful not to poke through and take my weeding tool all the way through and poke a hole in the canvas. So that was a little bit difficult, but I did go in with a really tiny detail brush, and any areas that I noticed the paint kind of seep through and came out of the stencil, I just kind of go around those and clean them up a little bit. You really couldn't see it from far away, but I'm very particular, so those little bits of paint seeping through were kind of bugging me. So I just continued to take all of the stencil away, and I did add in a couple of leaves. We had a maple leaf, and then I just found some other stencils for fall leaves. So I placed those in the corners of my canvas frame. Also, I purchased this canvas from the Dollar Tree Plus section, but I know they also sell them at Walmart and, you know, places like Five Below too. So there's a lot of different places that you can pick up a large canvas from. Next DIY is a little bit of a bonus one using a calendar image as some decor. The past two videos that I've had, I've been hosting some Dollar Tree calendar giveaways. I do those kind of sporadically throughout the year, so make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on a future giveaway. But for this one, I'm going to be using one of the older calendars, but I wanted to show you the brand new 2023 calendars and some really cute images you can use here. I'm also pointing out, why is there a carrots picture for November? Shouldn't that be for like April, May, March? I thought that was very odd that they chose the carrots for November. But I digress. So I'm using the calendar from last year, but as I just showed you, there are some gorgeous images in the brand new 2023 calendars. And the great thing about these is I usually use one for an actual calendar, but to me they're more like scrapbooking paper, so I keep them all year long. You know, this is 2022, but I'll use it again probably in the next year as well, because it's really just like a cheaper version of scrapbooking paper for me. The images are so gorgeous, so why would you not want to display them? I picked a rustic frame from the Dollar Tree and popped this Happy Harvest image inside. I've had these larger wood pieces from the Dollar Tree for quite a while and couldn't figure out what to do with them. And then I had an idea for the fall season. Here are the other supplies that you'll need to create this sign. I found these large wood signs from the Dollar Tree in the section where there's usually the faux florals, and I was so impressed with them. They're really heavy and thick and very sturdy, unlike a lot of the more kind of MDF board flimsier pieces. So I picked up a couple of these, but couldn't figure out what to do, and then I had the idea for some mantle decor. So I will also have this stencil linked for you all down below in a Canva form, so you guys can either print that out and make your own stencil or use the graphite method. Graphite method is how I used to do a lot of my lettering before I got a cutting machine. I will link a how-to video if you're not sure what that is, because it's really helpful, again, if you don't have a cutting machine, to make your own stencil. So I'll have that video linked above, but I'm doing very similar to what I did on our larger canvas, just laying down a little bit of Mod Podge, then carefully dotting down the paint before peeling it all back. I love how this DIY came out, and I think I'll definitely be turning this into a reversible sign for the Christmas season. I already have some ideas for what I want to do with this piece. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.